One of the subjects that pops up very frequently on Facebook and Rootsmagic forums is that of media and how to handle media. So I just want to shoot through some very quick things that will hopefully guide people in the right direction in the future. Firstly, Rootsmagic has a media gallery. You go to lists, you go to media gallery, and it will soon open up and show you all of the media that you have attached. Now I say attached because this media is not part of the Rootsmagic database. The only thing that the Rootsmagic database contains is a link to this media. The media is on your hard drive. You organize it in whatever folder structure you want, and that's what Rootsmagic is linking to. So the golden rule is once you've linked it, do not rename it on your hard drive. Otherwise Rootsmagic has no idea what you've just did. Now, having said that, Rootsmagic does have a little tool called Fix Broken Media Links. If you move it about on your hard drive, then Rootsmagic will fix that for you, but not if you rename it. So let's add a file. Here we have Mary. I know that I have a picture of the grave marker for Mary. So very quickly, this little box alongside the burial fact, this is where I would normally add that type of media. So just double click that. You've now got the media album for Mary and you're tagging against the burial fact. Open up Windows Explorer and here's the file that I'm looking for. This is actually the image of the grave marker itself. All I have to do now is drag from Windows Explorer over into the media album. You can see the little plus symbol on the left hand side there. Let go. And hey presto, there's the file. Now at this point the file doesn't have a caption or anything like that there. If you want to do that, you can go to Properties. So here you can type in some information. You can type in a caption. I've just put in headstone of Mary Laws. You can put in a description here of whereabouts in the churchyard it was, or whatever other type of description you want. If you have a reference number or a referencing system, you can use the reference numbers here. You can also put in a date. Quite often with birth registrations, marriage registrations, I would actually use the date of the registration in here. Now Rootsmagic doesn't make any use of that at the moment that I'm aware of, but in the future that might become an important field. This field here, the caption field, is actually a sortable field in Rootsmagic Media Album, so you might want to think carefully about how you name that. For example, headstone, put all headstones beginning with the word headstone so that you can sort them all together. But let's hope Rootsmagic does more on categorization in the future. One of the most common calls on the forums is that Rootsmagic cannot find my media. Where has it gone? Well, the answer is generally the same. People have jumped into Windows Explorer. They've decided to rename the file to something more appropriate, like Mary Law's Headstone. We now go back to the media album for Mary, and we can see that there's a cross in here. What's the cross doing? Well, Rootsmagic can't find the file. The reason it can't find the file is that you have renamed it on the fly. So I'll show you shortly how to rename it from within Rootsmagic. But I think the golden rule has to be prepare your files before you start linking them to the database. So how do you know how to rename your files from outside of Rootsmagic database? Very simple. Just within Windows Explorer, open it up in Windows Photo Viewer or the like, right click on it, Properties, and here you have the image properties. We can zoom in here a little. We can see a lot of the detail that's on the headstone. And that can actually be transcribed into the comments field here. So this can all be transcribed in there, and at the end of this I'm just going to put a little V'ger Tester Day just to make a unique word. We can put in the title here, Mary Law's Headstone. We can put in some tags, Laws and South Creek. We click Apply. Now renaming the file, we can go to the General tag here, and here's our file name. So can we do that from within Properties? Of course we can. So I'm going to rename this Laws Mary, 1926-February-15 brackets BUR brackets. And that's the basis of the file system that I use. Inside the brackets on the end, it could be simple B for birth, BIR for birth. I use B personally, M for marriage, D for death. It could be CENS for census, and that's the key to the file system that I agreed on many years ago. I'm not saying you use the same, but at least this makes the file name pretty unique, and the same system applied to file after file It just makes the system simple for me to understand and simple for me to search. Click OK. And we look up here and we can see that the file name has now changed. There we are, Windows Explorer with a new file name. So if I want to rename that file from within Rootsmagic, say I had dragged it into the media gallery with the old file name image001 and wanted to change it later, this is the way we do it. So go to Properties. Here's our file. Now the captions, because I've reliked that this is a new file. So I go to Change Media File, right click on the media file and do Rename. Put the new name in, confirm it with Enter, click on it to select. You can see Rootsmagic has now got that in the file name. Open, and you can see that your file name has now changed. So the same file has a different name, you just changed it, and Rootsmagic knows exactly where it is and it's happy with it. Just want to mention here in this case that Mary, of course, we don't know her birth name, so we've left it blank. We do know, however, that her married name was Laws, and we've got that in here as type married. Now remember what I said about the importance of the file being a standalone entity and standing on its own outside of Rootsmagic, and obviously before you link it to Rootsmagic is best. So if we now go to my main genealogy folder, which is over 40 gigabytes, and we type in V'ger test day in the search, we find the file that we just put in. So that's coming from within those file comments. It's not in the file name, it's in the actual comments of the file itself. If we want to find all the burials that I have in 1926, we can put in that with the brackets burial. We can see the Laws one that we just did, and we can see another one, Surgeon or William, and then there's a lot of files, and obviously within those files those keywords are satisfied. Again, we're still in Windows Explorer. Surgeon is a name that I do quite a lot of research on, so if I want to find all of the Surgeon baptisms, I use bracket BAP for baptismal records, so we search for that, and there we go, we've got all of the Surgeon baptisms. So I would encourage you in managing media to think about a good file naming system before you actually attach them to Rootsmagic, and a file naming system that you're not going to keep wanting to change over time and dip in and out of different systems. So a few minutes sitting down, thinking about what will work for you, and go from there. And before anybody comments, I've just spotted this very obvious typo in the file name of this particular file, where it should be 1931. I'll correct that now, and I'll make sure to go off and correct it in the Rootsmagic database. One last quick point before I go. Now, I showed you how to drag and drop earlier on, so here's a folder that I've been doing work on recently, and it's all about cemeteries, or a particular cemetery. It's all about different plot numbers, who's in those different plots, and I can actually highlight all of those files there and drag them all straight to, you can see the little plus symbol, drag them all straight over to Media Gallery, and in they all pop. Rootsmagic's working its way through them. Now the only problem is they're all in the Media Gallery, but they're not linked to anyone. Rootsmagic doesn't have any way of showing unlinked media at the moment. It'd be nice if they did. If I see here, I can see I've got a tag. If I search for one of those files here, which was a plot number A294, here's the file. I can see all of the details. But if you see here, it's not linked to anyone, so it's not tagged. Now if I get rid of that first of all and go to sorted by caption, all of these files, some of them are tagged, some of them are not tagged. This is a group photo, there's quite a lot of people in it. Already I can see that, from this photo, this is tagged to 2 people, both called Ruth Gracie. Well, those are both duplicates, and I would say I'll have to go in and merge those. As I say, this is only an old play database, so there's a lot of duplicate information in it. What I don't have here, and it might be an idea to have it up here, is to show unlinked, a little checkbox, show unlinked media. And then you can highlight all of the media that's not linked to any people, and you can work through establishing those links within your Rootsmagic database. That's going to be a wish for the next version of Rootsmagic. One other thing that Rootsmagic could easily do is to allow the comparison of the Rootsmagic database with an actual folder on your hard drive, so that you can reconcile any files that aren't currently linked to your database, and that's important. So one version or the other, making your data complete is very, very important to me. and I collect data much quicker than I can link it to Rootsmagic. Well, I hope you found this useful. I hope you get a few pointers out of it. My way is not the expert way, it's just the way it works for me. Other people will have different ideas and different systems, but agreeing a system I've found is very, very valuable. It saves a lot of time in managing media files. Thanks for watching. Happy hunting.